what we see is that things are changing.
The environment is bleeding with the pain of the activities that we are doing.
Global warming is the fever. Mankind is the virus.
Youth are able and are willing to get engaged.
Stop organizing! Start organizing!
The CBA conference is basically a platform bringing together multiple stakeholders, so researchers, academics, community leaders, NGOs, the private sector, policymakers, to explore ways through which we can enhance community adaptation to climate change. Climate change is already happening. Local communities feel it every day. They might not actually describe to you what climate change is, but they themselves are already adapting in the way, in the type of crops they plant, when they plant those crops, in the types of livestock they raise, how they raise their livestock. So the conference brings together all these experts to explore ways of enhancing how communities adapt to this in a way that is sustainable, to reflect the magnitude of the problem that we are having, which is climate change.
This conference has been the platform where young people came together to speak about community-based adaptation to climate change, and especially what they are doing in their own communities to address the climate change crisis. We all know climate change is a big crisis of our time, and youth have actually risen up to the challenge and are seeking solutions and doing things in their own communities to address the climate change issue.
For the African youth generally, they feel left out, not only in the climate discussion, but also in the economic activities. There is the current understanding that Africa is rising, but the youth do not feel that. They feel that the cost of living is going high, there are no jobs, and there's nothing that is happening to address their issues.
When I was growing up, the climate was not so good pande ya kwetu. Saa zingine nasikia kuna mafuriko, saa zingine nasikia kumepatikana mmonyoko wa udongo, nikashindwa hizo vitu ni nini. Baada ya kukaa kidogo, tulikuja kugundua mmonyoko wa udongo, mafuriko yalikuwa yanaletwa na climate change. Watu walianza kupoteza manyumba, na nikiwa mtoto mdogo nilikuwa naona hiyo si vizuri. It was sad. Wakati huo nikiwa mtoto wa miaka kama 10, ndio nilianza kuona baba akipanda miti. Alikuwa na miti ya maembe, miti ya machungwa, miti ya avocados. Nikaanza kuona watu wanaanza kupanda miti hiyo area yetu. After watu walianza kupanda miti, nilianza kuona kumebadilika sana. Kulikuwa na shades. Saa zingine hata nikienda kama ni kusoma, nilikuwa naenda kusomea chini ya hizo miti. Nasikia hewa ikiwa mzuri sana.
We cut our forest to construct houses and we play with nature. Then we'll not have people to live in the houses that we construct. Similarly, if we don't have water, who is going to live in the houses that we construct?
How can we, as young people in our communities, be involved in ensuring that there's actually food and sustainable diets for our community?
By providing more drought-resistant seeds to them and training, if you like, in how to better cope with more frequent drought periods. So we see practical results, more food, more money in people's pockets. Link that to stronger marketing chains, and you start to see an impact on the local economy.
I just saw that they can be able to be actively involved and engaged in this whole solution seeking towards climate change. We've also seen groups that are engaged in policy, trying to influence policy, working with government, the private sector, and other stakeholders, including even community members, to address the climate change challenge. So I think for me, this is where all of these came together, and the sharing of experiences by youth sort of enables young people to go back to their communities, to go back home with new ideas about what they can be able to do much better.
I've learned how indigenous knowledge is very important when we want to actually deal with communities, try to see how they understand the knowledge they have already and try to complement it with the scientific knowledge.
In terms of technology, how will you as the youth take advantage of the technology that allows the world to interact better and in real time than used to be the case, to make sure that we learn, and after learning that we also apply the lessons that we have learned to the problems that face our community.
There's the need for social networking. We need to network with other people from our country, so regional, international, and across country. So it's something that I've really learned from this conference.
We'll be having an online knowledge sharing platform where the youth who participated at this conference continue engaging.
And look into the future and see that there's an opportunity, that there is hope for addressing issues of climate change, adaptation and mitigation, and bringing it home, regardless of where we live, whether it's Africa, Asia, Latin America.
We have to be cognizant of the social context in which we operate. And the way we've been conditioned, most of us, this generation of Africans, is that even in your own families, you're just there to be seen, not to be heard. I mean, how many of you are asked about your opinion as a young person growing up in your family? Your parents made your decisions for you.
What he has seen is knowledge on the subject matter. If you combine knowledge of the subject matter and passion, and I always tell even my children, when you face a crowd, see them as your students. You're the one who has the knowledge, you're the one who's addressing them. So in other words, you're the one who knows what it is that you want to say, you're the one who has the knowledge. So if you deepen your knowledge base in a subject matter and you're passionate about it, then your confidence comes out.
Another aim of this conference was to really come up with key messages that would contribute to the climate change negotiation process. And we've seen a number of issues emerging as was trying to be captured in the outcome statement, where youth were saying that
the world is your canvas. You can paint it whichever way you want by what you do. If you do what you're doing right now, this is what it's going to be. But if you can do whatever it is that you're doing for the betterment of the world, it's going to be different. Now get me some green so you can paint this for real.
What we see is that things are changing, that the rains are changing, that people are suffering in new ways, and there are things we can do to address these new risks, to address these higher risks. So what we just did is to engage participants in a conversation that is inspired and motivated by playful activities. What we do is to create systems where rainfall is represented, for example, by an object, a die, and you can make decisions for disaster preparedness or not, you can invest in development or not, and things can go well or not, like in the real world. By having that simulated representation of reality, things happen, you get excited, you get concerned, you have to think how to say things, and then we start a conversation where there's so many choices. How do we go about understanding the choices and making the best decision we can with the information we have, which is never enough.
And that was a very engaging session, if I think about it, where young people were able to digest a lot of what you would call technical climate change information in a very simplified and in a very articulate and enjoyable manner through games, which was really helpful because it brings the point home.
There's a lot happening, but it was not being reported in the scientific peer-reviewed literature. So at that time, this is one of our previous CBA conferences, CBA 5 was held in Bangladesh. We focused on how can we improve the publication of scientific peer-reviewed literature on community-based adaptation. We invited the chair of the IPCC to come as a keynote speaker, Dr. R.K. Pachari from India, and he encouraged us to publish in the peer-reviewed scientific literature. And since then, we published 2 edited volumes and a special issue of a journal.
We just had a session on monitoring and evaluation of what the conference has achieved in various countries, including here. So it has led to different ways of community practices in places including Kenya, the Mau Forest, for example, or in Isiolo. So that's one. The second one was to have Kenya and African countries prepare their negotiating position for the Global Climate Change Conference in Paris this December to come up with a common framework.
Nothing is agreed until the body sort of signs to it. In other words, remember 196 countries. The only place where you can all either agree or disagree on something is in one place. And the rules of negotiations under this convention determine that for there to be any agreement on any issue, these parties will meet every year.
According to the analysis that we did, especially for 2030, majority of financing that has come to sub-Saharan Africa has gone to climate mitigation.
Who else do you think is our audience as far as climate change, youth, engagement, etc. is concerned?
The fact that the private sector has been literally absent in financing climate change and adaptation programs. The 952 million has been channeled through the public sector. Out of the 2.1 billion, 60%, the 2.1 billion for mitigation, 60% was channeled through the private sector. So as the youth, these figures ought to tell a story. What is the difference between mitigation and adaptation?
The concert was a great forum where we had a band playing, we had a poet who was talking about climate justice. We had somebody who was singing about climate justice issues, and it was a very engaging session. We also had an award ceremony there where all participants got certificates of participating at the conference.
Humanity has the means to limit climate change. A lot of that means relies on technology, harnessing technology effectively to address these problems. We have a relatively educated, young, dynamic and innovative youth across Africa, and if we can harness the power of the youth, if we can include the youth in development processes, and if the youth can demonstrate the leadership, I think we stand a pretty good chance of achieving both adaptation to climate change and sustainable development in Africa.